I'm going to show you how to set some settings on your camera that I guarantee you are going to save you time and make your images even better. Let's go. Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to Rusty Brown Photography. I'm Rusty, so glad you guys are here. Like I said in the intro, today I'm going to be talking about how to save a certain set of camera settings so that you can recall them quickly when you need them, and hopefully these settings will make your images that much better. So let's get right to it. Today's cameras are amazing and they come with many great features. One of the best ways to improve as a photographer is to master the features of our cameras, but so many of us only scratch the surface of the camera's capabilities. Today I'm going to talk about the various modes and why I believe that to truly understand the differences between the many modes and to truly get the most out of these modes, that we must first master manual mode, right? I'm then going to show you how to access the memory recall section of your camera and to save some of these settings, right? So yeah, there's some safe or easy options like shutter priority and aperture priority. Even easier for the beginner are automatic and program mode. Both of those pretty much leave all of the decision making to the camera when it comes to settings. And while shutter priority and aperture priority don't give full control to the camera, they both have an element of making a decision for you. I believe that before handing over any portion of the decision making to the camera, we have to fully master the manual mode. Manual mode forces you to make every decision settings-wise about your shots. So if the key to better use of shutter priority and aperture priority is a core understanding of manual mode, then the best way to conquer manual mode is to fully understand the exposure triangle, right? ISO, shutter speed, and aperture. On any given day, you can use any one of these or combination of these to achieve the perfect exposure. So before we get started, I've got a quick pop quiz that I'm going to show you. I'm going to bring it up on the screen so that you can see it. And it's just something that I hope will refresh, your thinking with regards to the exposure triangle thought process. I'm going to talk about what the scenario is, and what I'd like you to do, I'm going to put the question on the screen, and then it's multiple choice answers, by the way, and I'm going to just let the answers pop in there. And what I would suggest, or what I would ask of you is, after you see A, B, C, and D, pause the video for a second and just write down what you think is the correct answer. I'm going to tell you what I believe to be the correct answer, and I'm just looking for some honesty here. I don't want you to then see what I say afterwards and then change yours. Let me know. Just put it in the comments, and all you got to do is just open up the comments and give me a letter, which letter you thought when you first saw the questions, right? So to get started, let's go to the pop quiz, right? All right, so here we go. Let's bring that up. You should see a blank pop quiz screen here. Before I let the scenario play out, what I want to do is give you an idea of where we are and what we're doing here. So imagine you have the job to photograph a kid's birthday party. And let's say it's a 10-year-old's party and it's outdoors and it's at a park. You got a 2-hour shoot, everything's going well. An hour into the shoot, some big clouds roll in. Nothing too scary, no thunder, no rain. The kids can still play, but your lighting has changed now. And basically, you're going to have to change your lighting to compensate for this darkness, right? And that's what this test is all about. I shouldn't say test. Again, just a quiz. You ready? All right, so here we go. You are taking photos at ISO 200 at 5.6 and 1/500th of a second. The image is exactly 2 stops underexposed. Again, we're outdoors. Which of the following adjustments would result in a perfectly exposed image based on the scenario that I gave you? A, open the aperture to f2.8. B, increase the ISO to 800. C, slow the shutter speed to 1/125th of a second. Or D, increase ISO to 400 and slow the shutter speed to 1/250th of a second. Which of these four is correct? Each one of these are correct. What I want you to think about when you look at the quiz, it's the fact that experimenting with the exposure triangle is the best way to get comfortable with the different ways to get the exposure you need. Even though they were all correct, maybe some were better than others. Let's say that the kids were playing kickball. If they were playing kickball and I want to get an action shot of, you know, the guest of honor, the birthday boy, kicking the ball before he goes down to first base, I'm not going to bring my shutter speed down to 1/125th because it won't be fast enough. I'm also not going to drop my aperture because I don't want a soft shot. I'm not trying to create a headshot with fall off. I need to capture the kid moving, kicking the ball with the excitement that comes along with that, and maybe the defender trying to catch the ball. So for me, in my camera, I'm going to make the adjustment with the ISO. It's pure and simple. Now, at the same party, if you told me the situation was the kickball game is over and they're just kind of around the picnic table and now they're singing happy birthday and it's time to blow out the candle, it's more of a static shot because there's not that much movement. You've got a bunch of 10-year-olds standing around, right? And they're singing happy birthday to their friend who's going to blow out the candle. In that regard, maybe that option D would be the one where I would go down from 1/500th of a second to 1/250th and then change the ISO one stop. But the objective, or what I hope you got from that, was you can achieve, you can achieve getting the result you want by 2 stops multiple ways. In some cases, combinations of ways, right? So now that you understand that, that's kind of where I want this whole thought process to go for the core of today's video is each one of those answers could have been right based on the situation. If there was another choice in there that says it depends, you could have chose that and it would have been correct also. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to use the memory recall features of your camera to help you get to a core of settings quickly, and settings that go way beyond just aperture priority or shutter priority, and definitely go way beyond automatic and program. Now, as a qualifier, let me say this. I'm going to walk through this demonstration with a Sony. These same capabilities that I'm going to show you are available on every major brand of camera. For my Canon folks, this is called custom shooting modes. And in your menu system, you want to look for C1, C2, and C3. For my Nikon friends, this is called user settings U1, U2, and U3. Fujifilm, C1 to C7. Congrats, you got a boatload of memory bank slots for you. Panasonic uses custom mode C1, C2, C3. So the key to what I'm going to show you is how easy it is to save multiple camera settings under a single selection, regardless of what each camera manufacturer calls that, right? So I'm going to start with this guy, and I'm going to show you something before we get started here. This is I'm going to use the Sony A7R5. This is my EDC, my everyday carry. And I'm going to be speaking about the slots, the 1, 2, and 3 in the Sony system. And I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but they're here on the dial. So on this particular Sony, on the top dial, we have one for camera and another for video. There is a 1 and a 2 and a 3. And that's how easy it is to get to those settings. But that's not where you are when you put the settings in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to connect my camera to the screen and put it on camera so you can see what we're talking about, and we'll go from there. All right. What you're looking at is the back of my camera screen. This is what I call run and gun. If I just picked this camera up and went out the door today, these are my standard settings: 1/250th of a second, f8, and ISO 200. But what I want you to remember for this particular video is that I have 3 primary areas of concentration when it comes to photography. One is studio work, so portraits, models, headshots, that kind of thing. That's number one. Number two, sports. And number three is a new one for me. It's birding, it's birds. So what I'm going to do today is show you how I set up my three for those particular types of photography and how we can nail down some pretty cool settings. So what you're seeing on the screen now, like as I move this, you see the balance and tilt, because for me, I like to see when my shot is balanced. This is literally what I see in my eyepiece. And if I want to move, you know, to pick a different focus spot, you can see me moving all over the frame. That's that. So we're going to start with slot number one. So the way you would do this is you're not in your memory section right now. You're just in, like right now, I'm in regular manual mode. I'll show you that right here. So this is what I'm in right now. If you look at the upper left, you see I'm in manual mode, single shot, continuous autofocus. You see the frame of the area of focus for it. You see that I've got people selected in the bottom left. You see that I'm shooting raw. And I've got auto white balance. So if I want to show you what my settings are for the studio, which is my number one way of shooting, you just come in here and you just start changing the things that you want to do. So first and foremost for me, when I'm in the studio, where it says live view display off, I don't have live view on. So I just turn that off on my camera. Secondly, I have a core settings of 1/160th of a second is the shutter speed I use. And typically I go to f6371, we'll do that. And then my ISO is usually, I always start at about 160. So now if you see what has changed from my run and gun way, let me take that zebra display off. There we go. You'll see that I'm in manual mode, single shot, 1/160th of a second, f7.1. ISO 160. Now the reason you see that exposure compensation flashing is because I have the lens cap on so that you can see better contrast in what I'm doing. All right, so this is all I want to save in my number one slot. So next what I'm going to do is I go into menu, and in the Sony system the menu is kind of convoluted, so stay with me. If you've shot with Sony, this is going to look pretty familiar. You go down to the red camera on the left, come over to shooting mode, then you go over here and you see these four settings. So if you go over to camera set memory and you hit enter, you see across the top the 1, the 2, and the 3, and you see the 1 is highlighted. That's what I'm in right now. And if you look at that, you'll see the very settings that we dialed in while I was in manual mode on just a regular screen. You see the 1/160th, you see 7.1, you see the ISO 160, all of those things. So at this point, all I have to do is save it, and you see where it says registered? That's a fact. So now if I come out of memory mode and go back to manual, and let's say I just dial up anything crazy from here, let's just change, go down to 1/100th of a second, and let's go up to F10, and let's make an ISO of, I don't know, 400. Okay, so now I'm just in regular manual mode with that. But now if I dial into slot number one, automatically, do you see what happened? It went to 1/160th, 7.1, ISO 160, and single shot, and I'm in manual mode. Again, if I go back to manual, this was the setting we just dialed in with the ISO 400. Now I'm going to switch to 1. And there you have it. So that now sets up my studio set. So I normally start with this, and you can change any one of these along the way. But this is what I'll start with every time I go into the studio. So let's go back to manual now, and I'll show you what I do for sports. So we're in manual mode now, right? So one of the first things that I do when I'm shooting sports is I like to go to, continuous shooting high. You can do high plus on here, but for me, that's fine. I also only stay in RAW. I'm going to leave what you see down there on the bottom left, the autofocus on for people, that's fine for me. But now I'm going to be somewhere around easily, let's say 1/1250th of a second. And what I'm going to do on my ISO, what I normally do for sports, is I like to go to auto ISO. So let's dial up that. And there it is, auto ISO, right? So now I've got burst mode on the left. I'm in manual, but we can change that, right? We could actually change that to shutter priority if you wanted to. I just keep it in manual, but you could change where you see that M in the upper left, you could easily change that. I like auto ISO because I'm normally doing some run and gun. So again, what do we do now? We go back into the memory mode. We get back into the camera set memory screen, but now I'm going to dial over to the 2 slot. And in the 2 slot, when I press enter, it's registering. And now if we come out of memory, I didn't change the f-stop in that. So if I want to change that, because I don't normally shoot f10 when I'm doing, sports. So let's right now we can go back and say, oops, I meant to change that too. So let's make the aperture, let's go f8, right? And so now, because we've already saved that puppy in number 2, you just simply go back into your menu, back to your camera memory set, back into 2 again. And as you can see, right, we got to hit, because we changed it now to 8, hit save. Now we've got the right setting in the 2 slot. And so lastly, what I'm going to show you, I've already dialed it in. I'm going to show you what's in my memory 3 slot, because this one is the one that I like to use for birds. So if I went over to, let me come out of there, back to the main menu. Yep. And now I'm just going to go. And here's the thing, when I turn to 1, like I'm turning to click 1, look at those settings, right? Now I'm using the dial on top of the camera. That's the studio. I turn to 2. You see the settings automatically for my sports. Everything's good to go. Now I'm going to turn to 3 because I've already set this one up for you. And watch what changes. Now I am in shutter priority. And if you look up at the S, you see MR3 underneath it. That's the position. When I'm shooting birds, I'm in a high burst mode. But look at the bottom left. The Sony allows me to actually set up the tracker for birds. And I have bird autofocus on. Also, look at the shutter speed. These birds, they dart around and they're really quick, and they do things like, that are fairly unpredictable. And there are times that 1/2500 is not going to be enough. Again, the f1.8 is flashing because I have the lens cap on and I'm in shutter priority. So as you know, it says that, if I'm going to start off at 1/2500, it's going to make the adjustment based on how much this lens can do. And the lens that I have on right now can go to f1.8. If it was a 2.8 lens, that would be as low as it could get. Also notice for my birding, auto ISO and auto white balance, because all I want to focus on when I'm doing this type of thing is locking in focus on the bird and getting the shots. And then I'll do a quick review, and if they're within, half a stop underexposed, I'm good. If they're not, I've been known to go up to 1/3000th of a second or higher, and I don't worry about the the aperture at that point. So that's memory slot number 3. There's memory slot number 2, and you see the position MR2. That tells you what you're in. You see MR1. That's my studio one, and if I go back to just regular manual, that's what manual is once we set it all up. That's pretty much all you have to do with a Sony. Now I'm going to show you what some of the images look like from those 3 modes. Okay, so first, a couple of studio shots using those settings that I showed you. Sports. And I'm going to show you a difference here in a second. This one is women's college softball. And indoor sports, obviously some things are going to change. The shutter speed, most notably, will change when I'm shooting in a college gymnasium like this one, University of Maryland, because they do a really good job of giving me great lighting. I could actually dial into 5600 Kelvin. Now, this is something that I want you to keep in mind. This is college baseball. And you remember, my settings at 1/2500. That's not enough to freeze this ball. So this shot, I actually had to dial the shutter speed up to 1/5000 to get to the point where I could see the star on the bat and try to freeze that ball. So that's what I'm talking about. You can set these settings up any way you want. It doesn't make them permanent. While I'm in my sports mode, which is what? Mode number 2, I can dial up anything that I need to dial right there when I'm shooting without having to go and dial up everything. Here's another one I got a little bit better. So this guy's bunting on the visiting team, right, from Penn State. And now I can read Rawlings on the ball. You know, again, 1/5000. That's not the normal setting, but based on the sun that day and how bright it was, that's what I needed to nail focus on that ball. Same thing here. Pitch got by him. I'm still able to freeze that action. We talked about birding. This is new for me, so don't get on me too hard. I'm still working on that, but I love trying to catch raptors, catching fish. So again, the shutter speed is key for me. In this particular case, I think he saw me photographing him because he circled around and literally flew overhead. Now in this case, I had to make one quick change in my settings because I was shooting up against the sky, whereas before I was shooting, you know, when they were still in the water. This one, he was so close to me that the bridge behind me and the rocks, all that's just natural fall off. I'm not a bokeh person. But you can see here that because he was so close to me, by me zoomed in and locked in on the raptor, everything else in the background just fell out of focus beautifully. It's really just that easy to set up a core 3 of settings. And here's the thing, you don't have to use every slot. This old camera right here, this is the old DSLR, and I still use it, by the way. And very similarly to what I showed you before on the A7R5, if I can pick it up, this also has the 1, 2, and 3 buttons on it. Mind you, 11, 12 years old now, and I still use this. Not quite the same as I would use the A7R5 for, because, you know, it's a little bigger, it's heavier, it's slower, but it does some amazing things in studio. So I'm not going to walk you through, you know, setting each one of those up, but I'm going to show you now the settings that I have on the DSLR, just so you know how easy it is to do that as well. This is my run and gun, 1/160, you know, f6.3, ISO 160, just regular run and gun, right? And I'm going to put it up on this screen so you can see it there. Everything that I'm pointing to, those are just the regular settings on the camera, right? Just like we said at the bottom, and ISO is 160. Now, if I go up to memory 1, this is my studio settings, 1/160th, right? And if you look over, let's start by looking over on the left. You'll see I'm in single shot mode, continuous autofocus. You see the zone that I'm focused on, and I'm using people. Now you'll see my shutter speed, my aperture, and my ISO. I'm shooting raw, right? And you can see I use auto white balance. Now in this one, I'll turn the dial, and that 1 will turn to 2. That's the way it works on the older cameras. There's the 2. And if you look at this one, this is sports on this camera. So you can see I'm in burst mode on the left. Again, autofocus continuous with people. Then if you look across the top, you'll see that I'm at 1250, f2.8, and auto ISO. I'm still shooting raw, right? Over on the right side, again, auto white balance just makes it easier for me because this one's auto ISO and auto white balance. Switching to number 3, now you see I'm in aperture priority, but let's start over on the left. This is, let's say, for events, single shot, continuous autofocus. You get to see that set for people. But when you come across now, you can see the A, that means I am in aperture priority now. And my ISO is auto. You also see here, though, I'm shooting RAW and JPEG, right? If I want to do events with this camera in my 3 slot, because I don't do birds with it. And like I said before, you know, auto white balance is what I do with that one. These are some sample images from those very memory positions on the old DSLR. Position number 1, studio. Sports. And this is just the other, not necessarily, you know, events, but this is what I use section 3 for. Traveling in Spain. Again, that was 12 years ago. This camera's old. Yep, Rome. I always like this one, just hanging out at the airport. That plane's really close, and this old DSLR is so tack sharp. If you look closely, you can see up into the wheel well on the front, and it's crispy clean. I can see the tire treads on his front tires, which is pretty cool. And this is one of the all-time favorite shots that I got using the old DSLR, which is the Sony A99 Mark II. But what about video settings? Well, I've got you covered there too. On some cameras like the A7R5, there's an entirely separate ring for setting up memory on video. But, you know, for most other cameras like the DSLR, you only have the one slot. And if you're going to do video in it, you have to use one of those 3 slots because there isn't a separate video ring, right? And even though my everyday carry has a separate ring and setting for video, I don't use that camera for video. I just use it for photography. Now, I do have a dedicated video camera, and it's the one that I'm filming on right now, which is also this guy right here, the Sony A6400. I love this camera, and I primarily use it just for video. This is my second one. I think it's a hidden gem for easy videos. Even though my old DSLR does 4K video, it gets hot. And at 28 minutes, it's going to shut down. And when I say it gets hot, I'm talking about very hot to the touch. 6 years ago, I got my first A6400, and I haven't looked back. And several years after that, when the A6700 came out, I bought the second one because the prices on these dropped. And I just think that for this type of video, this talking head type of video, and what I do in terms of podcasts and other YouTube work, this APS-C does an amazing job. Now, one of the things that's interesting about this one, because it's an APS-C camera and it's fairly small, there's not enough room on the dial for the 1, 2, and 3. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to show it, but I'm going to try. This one has something called MR. Right, and so the functionality is the same, but when you go to MR, that stands for memory recall, then you'll see within the memory recall window that you have the options for 1, 2, and 3, but you don't get separate buttons on there, right? Now, I only have one thing loaded on here. Now, I have a couple, but the one that I use primarily is video, and you can set up easy video settings as well. So let's take a quick look at those. This is just the regular running gun mode, just like the other one, 160, 7.1, and 160, right? That's pretty much what I have on this one. And you can see it there, illustrated on the left. Now, if I go over into memory recall, you'll see the 1, 2, and the 3 at the top. And my one slot is what I use for basic film work. Obviously, single frame, autofocus, you know, and it's bracketed 1/160th f4.5 and ISO 3200, and I'm shooting, you know, at 24p, because that's what this camera really does a really good job of. It's just 4K 30. Now, in the second slot, I do have aperture priority in the event that I wanted to do some, you know, event or something like that. And you can see the settings on the left. You can now see, though, that across the top it is aperture priority, f4.5, and I'm shooting RAW and JPEG on this one for the second slot. Auto white balance on this one as well. If I go to the third slot, I think I actually, let me take a look. Yeah, I have it set up for sports, but I rarely use it for sports. But you can see I've got, you know, burst mode going on the left, focused on people. I'm in shutter priority, as you can see in the upper left. 1/1000th of a second, auto ISO, right, and auto white balance as well. And although I have all 3 of those dialed into this camera, the main thing that I use it for is really just for video. My wife has a show that's called Have You Seen It, where she reviews movies. And this is what the camera configuration looks like, you know, when I'm, you know, filming her. So I'm literally taking a shot with my phone at the back of the camera. You can see she's at the other end. We shoot in the same set everywhere that we go. That's the Movo lav mic receiver. She's wearing one mic and the other one is muted out. And it's pretty simple. Those same settings that I showed you in slot number 1, I use them every week right here in this set. Here's a quick snippet of what the final product looks like from that very video that I showed you the BTS of, that I was working on, you know, for Dee's YouTube channel.
Starring Meryl Streep, Anne Hathaway, Emily Blunt, and Stanley Tucci are our main characters. They have all returned for this sequel.
So in summary, you know, understanding the exposure triangle is hugely important, right? You can use aperture priority or shutter priority and, you know, and still have more dialed in settings by using your memory recall. So it's not just a question of using aperture priority and letting the camera choose the shutter speed for you. If you use your memory recall, not only could you do that, you could also, you know, affix these other things like, you know, your burst mode rate, you know, what you're going to do in terms of your white balance settings and things of that nature. And it's one less thing that you have to worry about. Like I said before, the baseline settings can be put in the memory and you can change them as needed. And the minute you power that camera down and power it back up and you go over to those memory recall settings again, the ones that you saved will always be there, right? Try a couple of the memory recalls, see if it works out for you, see how you like it, see if it's something that that you could adjust to in your camera's ecosystem. Let me know how you did on the quiz, and hopefully, you know, you got something today that's going to help you with your photography that maybe you weren't quite looking at before. It takes some getting used to, but anything that we can do to minimize the amount of time that we're changing and adjusting while we're on the set or at the event or at the game doing the thing that we're there to do, I think the more opportunities that we then have to get better photography. So thanks for watching. We look forward to talking to you guys again. I do appreciate you taking the time to rock with Rusty Brown Photography. It does mean a lot to me and the channel. Hope you have a great week, a great month, and a great summer. We're out. Bye now.